West Hill United is a progressive spiritual community where how you live is more important than what you believe. West Hill United is a people, a place, an idea. We are a community living out of a progressive faith, striving to make a positive difference in our own lives, the lives of others, and the world. Join us Sundays at 10:30 a.m. or connect with us at any time.
Good morning. My name
I
is
can
Mark,
do this, it's okay.
and it's always a pleasure to extend a warm West Hill greeting to those in attendance
You have to get this top.
that are on
Yeah.
site at 62 Orchard Park or across the city, the province, across Canada, across the United States, across the United Kingdom, and as far east as Africa. And if you're a newcomer, if this is your first time, hopefully we may become a habit in a very good sense. Welcome to one, welcome to all. The land acknowledgement that we have part of our service, West Hill United is located in Treaty 20 and in the area of the Williams Treaties of 1923. These are the lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and were previously occupied by the Seneca and Huron-Wendat First Nations. It is important to us to hear at West Hill that we commit to supporting true reconciliation in the present by honoring the 94 calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission from 1915. Regrettably, few of which actions have been completed to date. We invite you to visit the Yellowhead Institute website, an Indigenous-led research and education centre at Toronto Metropolitan University. This university plays an important role in holding governments accountable, advocating for the rights of Indigenous peoples, and developing models of change that support Indigenous futures.
I'm an engineer, so I was charged with looking at this as a problem, and did the typical engineering thing and dove into the internet and started looking at what do people know about murdered and missing women. And all I've come up with this morning is some reading assignments for you all. I can tell you where I looked. I looked at Stats Canada, and Stats Canada has a survey there that they commissioned, but it's a while ago. It was 2022, but it was violent victimization and perceptions of safety and experiences in the First Nations, the Métis, and Inuit women in Canada. And it has in it the statistics that demonstrate, mathematically how many more Aboriginal women are murdered than non-Aboriginal, and it also goes on to speculate about the reasons for it. And I just want to quote from Stats Canada, if I can. They do say 2/3 of First Nations and Métis women have experienced violent victimization in their lifetime. This is what their survey showed, which is a horrendous number. But they do go on to speculate about the reasons. They said, I just underlined this part, prior to colonization, women held a significant place in Indigenous societies. Indigenous women were highly valued individuals holding positions of leadership and decision-making power. And however, colonization forcibly altered traditional matrilineal views while contributing to the normalization of violence against Indigenous women, in particular policies such as the Indian Act and Indigenous women of many rights and excluded Indigenous women from community governance. That's an observation from Stats Canada. There are other publications you can find on the internet, included in that. That's 44 pages if you want to take a look at that. Included, if you go online, as I did, you'll find a report that's 700 pages called Reclaiming Power and Place. It's the final report of the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. I won't quote you anything from that, and it will take quite a while to actually extract the meaningful parts from that, but I suggest looking at it. But what is contained, I skimmed into it, are some very moving stories of the victims themselves who testified before that commission. I would say, take a look at that. Again, Reclaiming Power and Place. I want to point you to a book that was written by a friend of mine, or a family friend. Her name is Andrea Proctor, and this book is called A Long Journey. It's available on Amazon. Andrea is an anthropologist. She works with the Inuit in Labrador, and she spent 20 years with them, and has her research was into residential schools in Labrador and Newfoundland, and she has documented the history of the residential schools and gone into the reasons why there have been dramatic changes in the education and the society of the Inuit in Labrador. And Andrea is a bit of a historian. She's gone right back to the beginning, and that's why the book is called A Long Journey. I'll quote from her book. She has a copy of a pamphlet from the Moravian Mission to Labrador, which this was published in 1772. And it says, the goal is to try to civilize and humanize the Inuit in some degree until they become Christians. And Andrea's comment is that in some degree actually turned out to be a large degree, and it significantly affected the Inuit life in the province. So anyway, those are some reading assignments. And I point you to them. And if anybody wants to talk to me about A Long Journey. Yes? Oh, I did bring a dream catcher because it happens to be made out of moose hide. And the reference to the moose hide is that it is medicine. And medicine from the Aboriginal language actually means a collective effort to heal, and a balanced effort, including psychological, emotional, and the collected effort to create a solution to illness and problems. Dream catchers are hung over the beds of children, and they catch the bad dreams in the middle, the nightmares. The good dreams flow down through the flowers or the feathers into the child when it's sleeping. So I plan to hang that over my bed if it was hanging in a special room in our house, and I bought it from the artist that made it. It's a beautiful piece, and so I thought I'd just bring that to show you too. And Scott has on his piano. That is Broken Nose. Broken Nose is part of the Iroquois belief system, and the creation story, but Broken Nose is responsible for taking care of health and improving situations, and that may help Scott's wrist if he keeps it on his piano for long enough. Anyway, have I gone past my 5 minutes? Okay, thank you.
We have been in a series called Mix It Up May, where we're exploring some more creative subject matters. The beginning of May, we started with the topic of books, and people brought different books, and we called it books and stories that have moved you, because we're trying to have M word in there to go along with Mix It Up May. So we put the word books and stories that have moved you. And then the next week we did movies. And then the following week, Scott did a great talk on music. And so as I was thinking about the different themes, I noticed that there was something that kind of went throughout, a thread that just was interwoven throughout all these themes. When I talked about books, I talked about some of the lines, some of the stories, the different words that are in books that make them powerful, and the words that we tell ourselves. In movies, the dialogue can be so important, obviously, and sometimes a movie can have a line, sometimes even a repeating line, or a line that sticks with people, the audience for a time to come. And then music, of course, it's the instruments. They hit us in a certain way, but it also can be a line from the song. Sometimes it's in a chorus where the line is repeated time after time. And that line, those words, they have staying power. They speak to us in a certain way. And so today I thought that I would look at this subject of mantras or words, the power of words. And so to kind of start us out this morning, I want to test some of our knowledge on some powerful words. So up here on the screen, I am going to have a line we're going to start with some movies, and then we'll have a couple books. I didn't do songs, actually, because I don't want to go too long in it, but there's going to be a blank. You're going to see a phrase on the screen, and there will be a blank. And if you know what the blank is, just go ahead and yell it out. So we'll start with one here. Oh, there we go. Yell it out if you know what the blank is.
I'll be darned.
Oh, close. Anybody else?
I'll be damned.
I'll be back.
Hey, those work too, Laurel. So, but yep, the famous one from the Terminator, I'll be back. And what's interesting, going on a little bit of a tangent, is that going on a little bit of tangent is that Arnold Schwarzenegger at the time, he was told that, hey, you shouldn't go into movies. You did the bodybuilding thing. You did good at that. But with your thick accent, movies probably aren't the best bet. And I heard him a video of him speaking once where he said, who would have thought? I kept following this, and I had what is known as the most iconic line in movie history, arguably. All right, the next one here. I can't hear people.
Force.
Hey, may the force be with you. That's right. Oh, what about this from A Few Good Men? You can
Handle.
All right.
Dead.
Yep. I see dead people from The Sixth Sense.
Pretty good.
What about this one? I didn't put the name of the movie. I'm trying to make it a little bit harder.
Home.
Yep. And what movie is that from?
Wizard of Oz.
All right. Nice.
Chocolates.
Yep. And what movie?
Forrest Gump.
That's right. Yep. All right. What about this one? I didn't put the movie again.
Swimming.
Nice. I heard Shannon on that one. Just Keep Swimming. And what movie is that from?
Finding Nemo.
Nice. All right. So we're going to do a couple books here. Now, for this one, I didn't put any of the words. I just put the name of the book.
It was the best of times.
It was the best of time. It was the worst of times.
Yes, one of the most iconic lines from books of all time. Okay, so Big Brother's Watching You. What book is that from?
1984.
1984. All right, one more book.
Wonder.
Wonder, yes. And what book is that? Yeah, what book is that from? It's also a movie. There. Did I hear somebody?
Is it The Hobbit?
Close. Well, yeah, yes. Well, Lord of the Rings. So,
Lord
yep.
of the Rings.
Nice. Yep. All right. So now we're going to go into some mantras that people will repeat to themselves at different times.
One day at
Anybody
a time.
take it?
One day at a time.
One day at a time. Yes.
This too shall pass. Yeah.
Yep. This too shall pass.
Just do it.
Just do it, Nike.
It is
What?
what it is.
It is what it is. Yep.
Keep calm and
Carry.
carry on.
Yep. Keep calm and carry on.
No.
What about this
No.
one? No regrets. Yep. That one might be good to people sometimes, maybe gets them in trouble at other times.
Flow.
Go with the
Flow.
flow.
Yep. Go with the flow. Yep.
Carpe.
Diem.
Carpe.
Yes. Carpe diem. All right. Good work. I think as this shows, there are lines that stick out to us from books, from movies. If we did music, there'd be so much music that we could have gone over. And then some of these lines that we can tell ourselves that can help us in different ways, although they can also sometimes have a negative effect, which we can get into a little bit. But words stick out. I'm going to go to our next slide here, and it's going to bring up. Are you all able to see the slide? There we go. Yep. The psychology of mantras. So what helps words stick out to us? What gives them staying power that helps it resonate with us and just help us on a psychological level? There's three big things that I want to touch upon this morning. Short, repeated phrases. A few words. They can guide attention and they can align our behavior with our values and with our intentions. So, for example, Scott said, what would love do now? Just by saying those words, we can come back to those values, to what we find most important. Or, for example, when we get together, no matter the week that we are having, it's not just by, without any reason that we start with our words of commitment and our values. It's to refocus us as a community that says, no matter what we are going through, this is what's important. We come back in these short phrases that we're grounded in life, that we need each other, that we are guided by love and we're growing in wisdom. For me, a phrase that I often use, I'll say, love the best you can. And for me, it's a simple reminder, whatever I'm going through, what can you do? Control what you can control, Joe. Love the best you can. So these repeated phrases that can be at the tip of our tongue, they can guide our attention and align behavior with values that we really want to have. The second thing here, mantras are just a few powerful words. They can interrupt stress loops and support emotional regulation. Here's what I mean by that. I've heard it said that we're either just finished going through something, we're in the midst of something, or we're going to be going through something. Life is happening. Peggy, you alluded to dance partners of life. We are all in this dance and we're different parts. And sometimes the thick of the song, we might be in the midst of it. A few powerful words. No matter what's going on, they can help bring us back to what matters. So, for example, I said sometimes I will say, love the best I can. But then at the end of that, I will say, in this moment. It's my way of saying, Joe, you can have anxiety about what might happen, or you can be ruminating on what has already happened. But what can you do in this moment? Tomorrow, yeah, you can plan for it, but let's not worry. And what's been in the past, okay. But what about right here, right now? As some people say, be present. breathe, whatever. People have different words for it. But a good mantra can interrupt, once again, whatever situation that we're in. And we can find ourselves in difficult situations, of course. It might be things with family, with our work, with our health, whatever it might be. And we can ground ourselves in what matters, going back to the values that we hope to emulate. Now, the third thing that I want to bring up in the psychology of good mantras, good words, is that repetition, it can strengthen neural pathways, making value-aligned responses more automatic. So to break that down a little bit, repetition strengthens neural pathways. There's a term that scientists will use, and it's neuroplasticity. We have the ability to mold our mind to a certain extent, that our mind isn't just a fixed set thing, that we can have a growth mindset, that we can change, that we have agency. And a few powerful words, when we repeat that time after time, it can help with that. It's coming back. And so when I mention the words that we talk about at West Hill, it's not just by random accident that we just say our words of commitment or our values every Sunday. We just don't say, oh, this would be a nice thing. It's because every time we meet on a consistent basis, we want these words to be at the tip of our tongue and on our mind, that this is why we come together. This is how we want to show up, who we want to be. Now, at the beginning of our gathering, I shared that whether you've been here one time or 1,000 times, when I think about the power of our community, the truth is somebody might come, one Sunday. Any of us could just come one Sunday, and it might not have that much change on our life. A lot of times I'm doing the speaking as much as I'd like to say, the words that I share are just really going to help people. Maybe it just helps a little bit. Maybe it's neutral, depending on the Sunday. But I do think when we show up time after time together, and we have a commitment to be guided by love and to grow in wisdom, that's powerful. When we do that week after week, and it's the same thing with a few powerful words. Time after time, those words, they grow. They can become a part of who we are and shape and mold us in powerful ways. There's a quote that I really enjoy, and I'm going to bring this up on the screen here. I heard this quote maybe 10, 15 years ago. It's always stood with me, and I realize it's not perfect, and I could get into that at some point. But with that said, I'm going to bring this up here. It's by Frank Outlaw, who ran some grocery stores here in the United States, and his quote is, "Watch your thoughts. They become words. Watch your words." And I would say, for they can become actions. Watch your actions, for they can become habits. And watch your habits, because they can become your character. And watch your character, because it can become your destiny. And by destiny, meaning the life that you live. But it all starts with those thoughts. And the truth of the matter is, I'm going to go back a slide here to the psychology of a few powerful words of mantras. The truth of the matter is, I can sit here and I can talk about the positive words, but sometimes the tapes that play in our head, they're not always powerful words. That's what makes bullying so terrible. I was bullied as a teenager. I got called terms such as loser, or moron, or idiot, or even worse things. And some of those words stayed with me. And sometimes those were the tapes that would play in my head. And so when I looked at myself, who I was as a person, I started to believe some of those things because I heard it. It was repetitive. And then I started to say to myself, but I made a choice. Joe, control what you can control. What do you want to play in your head? What tapes do you want? What words? And that's why I started saying things such as simply choose to love the best that you can, no matter what. And repeat that. Be repetitive in it, morning and night. And other words that would enter my head. And I said, let's meditate and focus on those things because they're powerful. We all can probably recall a time when somebody said something so terrible that we'll never forget those words. Words can cut deep. So love yourself. Tell yourself powerful words. Remind yourself of who you want to be and how you want to show up in this world. Because as the quote that I just shared, as it indicates, it can become a huge part of who you are. And as the science, the psychology of mantras, that repetition, those words matter. And then as we aim to love other people, choose powerful words for other people. Some of my favorite people that I've ever come across in my life have been people who have given words of encouragement. One of my favorite professors in college, he would say to me at different times, "You've got this. You've got this." And what that meant to me is maybe he didn't know my transcripts. Maybe he didn't know that the words I told myself when I was in high school was, "You're not the student. You're not going to learn much. You're not going to grow in this way." But when my professor would tell me time after time, "You've got this," I literally remember him tutoring me at points and just, us working on something together and him just simply saying, "You've got this." He encouraged me. And what that did is it put courage within. It encouraged me. And without courage, we cannot love ourselves and we cannot love others. Words are powerful. So I want to leave you with this morning. As you'll see here on the screen, here's 2 steps that we all can take. And maybe many of us are already taking them. If you are, I encourage you to keep on taking these steps. And if not, I encourage you to try to make this a part of what you do and who you are. So choose phrases intentionally. And the way that we can do that is phrases that reflect our values. As Scott said, what would love do now? A phrase that I will use, how can I love the best I can? Sometimes I'll mix that up and I'll say, how can I wisdom the best I can? How can I courage the best I can? How can I compassion the best I can? But it's a phrase that I use to bring me back to the values that I want to cherish the most. Not saying I'm perfect at it. And then once again, so choose phrases intentionally that reflect those values, but then also ground your attention. That's why I say often, in this moment. Sometimes people will say, be here now, or one day at a time, or one step at a time. Whatever it is, choose some sort of phrase that can ground you in the moment when you need it the most, especially. And then a phrase or phrases that can encourage action. Going back to what Scott said once again, what would love do now? Or back to the phrase that I'll often say is, love the best I can. And sometimes I have to remind myself, Joe, you can. If not you, then who? Why not you? Love the best you can. You can do this. So choose your phrases intentionally, because if we don't guard the words, the tapes are playing in our head, sometimes other phrases can take place. And then the second step that I really would encourage all of us to take, practice returning to those phrases consistently throughout your daily life. And then as well, not just in daily life, but also in key moments, and then do so over time. Break this down a little bit for me. Morning and night, I choose to every day ask myself, how can I love the best I can today? That common phrase that I try to meditate on. And I'm reminded in the morning because so far, I wake up every morning It's just what I do. It's become a habit now. And then before I go to bed, I reflect. It's just what I do. It's a habit. And so it's throughout, my daily life. Now, sometimes people, they'll have things that remind themselves. You can call it habit cues or habit stacking. So habit cues. Sometimes people will carry something. I've heard of people who will carry a rock or a coin, if you can see it. They'll have that in their pocket, and it's a sensory cue. So when they reach into their pocket, they're reminded, the coin, what do I find most valuable? When you feel that in your pocket, sometimes it's something that, has been handed down in their family. I have a watch here. When they wear it, it's reminded of maybe of something that their, father, their mother, their grandmother said. Sometimes it's a visual cue, something that they put on their wall. This says, it is what it is. It's a reminder. There's things you can control and things that you can't. And so we have these visual reminders that can help us in our daily life. And so I encourage you, whatever, resonates with you. Sometimes it's people at every meal just giving thanks because they want to operate from a place of gratitude. And then, as I put here, not just in our daily life, that's good, but also in key moments. I was going through a difficult time earlier this week. And as I was going through this difficult time, I just said, all right, Joe, how can you love the best you can in this moment? You can't control what might happen 10 minutes from now or an hour from now, but how can you show up and love the best you can in this moment? It helped a great deal. And then once again, as you return to them consistently, do so over time because it can shape who we are.
Become a sustaining champion of West Hill United's work by committing to an automatic monthly donation. Learn more or donate now through Canada Helps.